Let me take you right into it because you can't make this stuff up. I slammed on the brakes in my own driveway, heart just hammering, because nothing could have prepared me for the sight waiting behind that half-open garage door. The damn thing screeched to a stop, jammed like it was trying to shield me from what was inside. But the smell hit first, thick diesel fumes, that hot metallic stench of oil puddling across my clean concrete floor. Two gigantic mud-caked trucks, one with the HOA board member decal, the other with a Thornberry construction magnet, were crammed so tight in my garage you'd think they were squatting there for the winter. And standing dead center, blocking the only open spot, Delilah herself. If you ever wanted to see arrogance wearing designer heels, there it was. She had that clipboard cocked under her arm like a badge of authority, lips curled into a smile that was one part smug, two parts challenge. I barely recognized my own voice. It came out raw, shaking not from fear, but from white-hot fury. "What the hell are your trucks doing in my garage?" I roared, already knowing I'd never get a straight answer. Delilah didn't flinch. "Emergency protocol," she said, like she was reading from some HOA playbook written by tyrants. "I have the master keys for the good of the community." Her cronies had apparently declared my property overflow parking for the street project without so much as a knock, never mind permission. She even had the gall to hand me a violation notice, fingers manicured so sharp I'm surprised she didn't cut the air. That was the opening shot, the thing that set everything in motion. You ever have one of those moments where rage and clarity hit at the same time? That was me. Because I knew, standing there with my lungs burning and my hands shaking, Delilah had picked the wrong guy to tangle with. See, I'm Ezra Caldwell, 52, third-generation machinist, proud owner of hands so scarred and calloused they're basically a resume in steel. 12 hours a day, I build the guts of fighter jets. My old man's 1985 Chevy, fully restored and sitting pretty in that garage well until Delilah's goons invaded, is the sum total of 3 generations of sweat equity. Every inch of that house hell, that whole corner lot, was earned the hard way. But Delilah had never respected that. For years she'd prowled Maplewood Heights with her clipboard and her little HOA army, measuring grass with a ruler and writing up anyone who looked at her crosswise. Her husband ran Thornberry Construction, the go-to crew for every violation correction. Coincidence? You tell me. 3 weeks back, when the city announced roadwork, Delilah saw her opening. Instead of asking, she just commandeered my garage for community use like the King's Stables or something. She didn't notify me, didn't ask, just decided. That's when I realized some people don't believe rules apply to them. Not until you shove the law in their face. That night I tore through old paperwork in Aunt Millicent's closet. I'll never forget the feel of those brittle yellowed pages. And there it was, tucked beneath a pile of holiday cards, the original 1962 subdivision deed, signed and sealed. My lot, it turns out, included 15 feet of land the HOA had been borrowing for 6 decades. Community garden, built on my land. The entrance fountain, the edge of their fancy community center, all mine, according to the surveyor's line. That discovery hit me like a lightning bolt. All those years of HOA fees for common area maintenance, all those meetings held in their building, on my ground. They'd been trespassing the whole time. But now, with Delilah's trucks boxed in, I finally had leverage and a plan. I barely slept. I just sat there, heart pounding, breathing in the chemical stench of violation notices and diesel hatching my counterattack. The next morning, cops, a tow truck, and Delilah's personal circus rolled up like it was Judgment Day. She pointed at my locked garage and practically screamed, "He's holding community property hostage." The lead officer just stared at her like he'd seen this movie before. "Ma'am, these vehicles are on his private property. That's trespassing." Her face worth every penny of my property taxes. I handed over the deed, the HOA bylaws, everything. Delilah sputtered about adverse possession, tried to outlawyer the cop, but the officer wasn't having it. Adverse possession requires hostile open use. This is just you being wrong. When the tow truck started winching her husband's beast out of my garage, she nearly lost it. "This isn't over," she hissed, but her threats sounded hollow against the metallic thud of justice. That should have been the end, right? But Delilah wasn't done. That same afternoon, I get a letter from Thornberry Legal Services demanding $5,000 for illegal detention of commercial vehicles. Only one problem: no such law firm exists. I called the state bar. Practicing law without a license is a felony, folks. But Delilah's next move, Next level desperate. That evening, a Thornberry construction crew started pouring concrete and installing no parking signs on my 15-foot strip without permits, without warning. I filmed everything, called code enforcement, and waited as Delilah dug her own legal grave in real time. "Ladies got brass," the code officer muttered, writing $15,000 in citations before lunch. Every violation she slapped on me, I fired back double. "You want a twist? Here it comes." Delilah called an emergency HOA meeting to vote me out as a dangerous element. I showed up with a professional surveyor, my attorney, and Channel 7 News. While Delilah fumbled for control, my attorney dropped the bomb. "This building sits on land illegally claimed by your HOA." The crowd's reaction. You could have heard a pin drop until Jessica Martinez from Channel 7 read out the list of $200,000 in HOA contracts Delilah's husband had raked in, all for work done on land that never belonged to them. Neighbors who'd lived in fear for years suddenly had proof, real tangible evidence that the Empress had no clothes. One by one, they came forward with stories, invoices, photos. Delilah's whole criminal operation laid bare. Even the district attorney, now armed with criminal charges, couldn't ignore the spectacle. But Delilah, true to form, doubled down. She tried to paint me as the villain, spreading rumors, sending a private investigator to my employer, my neighbors, anyone who'd listen. Big mistake. My boss, a former Marine, just laughed. "Ezra's dangerous, lady, you have no idea. Those intimidation tactics only tacked on more felony charges." When the federal agents showed up, black SUVs, forensics teams, the whole deal, they seized everything. Delilah's mansion, her husband's trucks, even the damn garden gnomes. The Caldwell Coalition, what the press called our neighborhood legal defense, grew from a handful of angry homeowners to a movement sweeping through 3 counties. And here's where it gets cinematic. Delilah's defense team, in one last Hail Mary, tried to argue in court that I'd manipulated county records, forged the original deed, and orchestrated a conspiracy. The judge barely let them finish before slamming the gavel, "Guilty on all counts, 20 years federal prison, assets forfeited, lifetime HOA ban." You want karma? Picture this: the mansion where Delilah plotted every petty revenge, now auctioned off to a young family. The front yard turned into a playground. Neighbors grilling burgers, kids laughing, no violation notices taped to their doors. My father's Chevy gleaming in the garage, parked where it belongs. But the legacy, it's bigger than revenge. Our case sparked state-level HOA reform with new laws on transparency, financial audits, and criminal penalties for board members who abuse their power. The coalition I started now helps families across the country, over 3,000 members, strong, fight back against their own suburban tyrants. We teach folks how to document, organize, and win, not just for themselves, but for everyone who comes after. And every week letters arrive. From Arizona, Ohio, Texas, families using our blueprint to topple their own Delilah's, reclaim stolen fees in years of harassment. It started with a locked garage and 2 trespassing trucks. Now kids play in safety, neighbors help each other, and nobody lives in fear of a clipboard queen. You know, the lesson I keep coming back to, what all this taught me is simple bullies count on people giving up on being too tired or scared or polite to fight back. But when you stand your ground, when you document everything, when you shine a bright light on corruption, the power shifts real fast. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line? When does community turn into tyranny? And how far would you go to defend what's yours? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you've lived through your own HOA nightmare, tell your story. Let's make sure these tales get heard loud and clear. Because sometimes justice doesn't just come with a gavel or a check in the mail. Sometimes it comes with the simple, satisfying sound of a garage door closing on the past for good.